Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalists, and to this special Day of Remembrance service. I'm Kathy Putnam, and I'm a member of the Worship Associates Ministry here at the church. I especially want to welcome any guests or newcomers and call your attention to a special note for you. Welcome guests and newcomers on the back of your order of service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. As we continue with reopening during this pandemic that's hopefully subsiding, I want to mention a few things to keep in mind. We are masking inside on Sunday mornings as a way of striving to be an inclusive community. After the service, we invite you to gather in two different areas. The courtyard is a mask optional area, and the area behind the Jones building, which includes the porch, grassy area, and the playground, is a space where masks are mandatory. Our in-person coffee hour today will take place at 10:30. We're not currently passing offering baskets, so please make your donation online or place your donation in the offering basket as you exit the sanctuary. For Share the Plate, you may donate online or write a check and make it out to the community church, and in the memo line put STP or UU Justice Ministry of North Carolina. And now if you'll please turn off or silence any cell phones during our service to maintain a worshipful experience. I'm going to now introduce Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson, and she's going to tell us about today's Share the Plate.
Thanks, Kathy. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's really great to be here. It's been a minute. Great to see all your faces. I'm Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson. I proudly serve as the Executive Director of UU Justice NC, formerly UU Forward Together, and I'm also very grateful to be the affiliated community minister at this church. UU Justice NC organizes UUs across our state to contribute to the transformative movement for justice in North Carolina, and we have been busy this year. This year, in partnership with All on the Line, experts in the redistricting process, we have equipped over 150 UUs to contribute public comments and letters to the editor and much more to our redistricting process. We have also been working for the last 9 months in deep coalition work with the People's Budget Coalition and with Medicaid expansion coalitions across the state to expand Medicaid to over 600,000 people through our state budget this year. I've been in coalition meetings all week. There is still hope for this week for Medicaid expansion to show up in our state budget. We've also worked in coalition with Green Faith and other environmental justice experts to put pressure on Duke Energy to transition to an investment in a clean energy future for our state, where they want to be burning coal till 2049. We know that these issues can feel insurmountable, and no congregation, no organization could ever win these battles by ourselves. UU Justice NC's work is to be in close partnership in broad statewide coalitions and make sure that our 5,000 UUs across the state are contributing powerfully to this movement work, to do together what we cannot do alone. Along the way, we are deepening relationships, we are building skills, we are deepening our faith in one another and in ourselves. And this is work that goes far beyond and transcends the wins or losses of any one year. We are a part of an abundant, powerful movement in this state, building a new North Carolina. I hope you can feel that in your bones. And that is the work that I have the privilege of doing in leading our congregations as a part of our UU State Action Network in North Carolina. Next year, UU The Vote 2022 will again activate our UUs to participate in the electoral justice process. Last year, 2020, was the largest at a state level and at a national level. UU the Vote was the largest activation of UUs for the work of justice ever. We made 950 hours of phone calls. We wrote 30,000 postcards, and your congregation was a part of it. We're excited to do that work together and begin imagining what we will do next in the coming months. We are grateful to be this month's Share the Plate recipient, so deeply grateful as a young organization, as an organization that doesn't receive any contributions at a denominational level. We rely on the contributions and generosity of congregations and of individual UUs across the state to help us grow our organization and deepen our work. Thank you so much, and we look forward to engaging in this conversation and doing this work together in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you for your words. As we prepare to sing our opening hymn, I invite you to come forward and place a photo or a memento of a loved one on the altar. And after we do that, we'll stand and sing the opening hymn, number 1003, in the teal hymn.
This is number 1003. Where did we come from? This actually has 4 parts to it. We'll just start with one part and add the rest, and you can pick the one that fits you best. Ready? Where did we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where did we come from? What are we? Where are we? The second part goes like this. Where did we come from? To what are we? Where are we going? Where did we come from? To what are we? Where are we? And the third part, mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we? Life is a riddle and mystery. And the fourth part, where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come? Where are we? Let's all sing part 3. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Our call to worship this morning is adapted from a reading by Patricia Sheldon. In this hour of holy stillness, we gather to honor the lives of the people we love. In this hour of holy stillness, we remind ourselves that the flames of life and love are never fully extinguished. In this hour of holy stillness, we offer ourselves for sharing the weight of each other's grief. In this hour of holy stillness, we call forth from each of us the power we offer out of life, out of loss, out of love. Come, let us worship together. You'll find the words for our chalice lighting in your order of service. If you wish to do so, please join me in reading them. There are stars whose radiance is visible on earth, though they have been long extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for humankind.
While the choir is assembling for this piece, Hallelujah by Randall Thompson, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, when I knew I was putting the choir back together and I was looking for pieces to do, I thought since they were going to be masked, probably be good to do songs without a lot of words, and this piece only has 2 words, and the second one doesn't even happen until the second to the last bar. So, but also when I looked into it, this was written in 1940 and it was commissioned by Serge Koussevitzky for the opening of the Berkshire Music Festival. And he had asked Randall Thompson, who's a terrific American composer and especially a composer of choral music, to write a fanfare for the opening of the festival, and on the word Alleluia. And but it was 1940. The Second World War was just beginning. France had just fallen to the Nazis, and he said, "I'll write you a fanfare, but I'm not gonna. It's not going to be what you expect because the world is not has just had a great loss." And so, with that in mind, he wrote this fanfare, Hallelujah.
Alleluia.
Please open your hymnals, your gray hymnals, to number 721 in the back. I'll begin the reading of They Are With Us Still, and if you'll all read the verses in italics. There's a slight change at the end. We will be calling names later in the service. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us,
It is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived.
we share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion.
They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be.
Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared.
They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady.
Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts.
We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living.
You may stay seated for our sun meditation, which is 1001 breaths in the teal hymnal.
Listen, love, love, Good morning. So at the second service this morning, Marion and Kat are going to share the story of the invisible string, which means you're stuck with me telling it. The story goes like this. It is bedtime, but a pair of children, a brother and sister, cannot fall asleep. There is a thunderstorm outside, and afraid, the children run to their mother, asking to be close to her. The mother turns to her children in the midst of the night and tells them about the invisible string. The invisible string, she says, is the power of love that connects people always, at any distance. The children turn to their mother, wondering and pondering. They have questions about this invisible string. How long is it? And how strong is it? And does it always work? One of the children asks, does the invisible string still connect us when we go out and play in the yard? Yes, the mother says, even then. And the other child asks, does this invisible string still connect us when we go to school? Yes, the mother says, even then. Would the invisible string still connect us when we climb to the top of the tallest mountain? Would the invisible string still connect us when we dive to the bottom of the ocean in a submarine? Yes, the mother assures them, even then. Would the invisible string still connect us if I became an astronaut and traveled into space? Yes, the mother says, even then. The children are silent, pondering, until one of them asks, what about Uncle Brian, who died? Does the invisible string still connect us to Uncle Brian? Yes, even then, the mother assures them. Amazed and pondering and sleepy, the children go off to bed and soon fall asleep, despite the storm raging outside. We call this the Day of Remembrance service. It's a service we hold in parallel with the Christian holidays known as All Souls and All Saints Day. It's a service we hold recognizing that for much of the Northern Hemisphere, the turn towards fall, the turn of this season, brings shorter days and longer nights, a chill in the air, changing leaves and bare branches on trees. With these changes to the natural world also comes memories of loss, awareness of death, and the struggle to make peace with the knowledge of our own mortality. What meaning do we make from the awareness of our own mortality? What meaning do we draw from loss? In Unitarian Universalism, we do not all share a commonly held belief in the afterlife. There are Unitarian Universalists who believe in heaven. And there are Unitarian Universalists who believe that there is not heaven. But when we get stuck in this binary of conflicting beliefs, we find ourselves embracing scarcity. For there are a multiplicity of ways to make meaning of life and death, and of the mysterious invisible string linking the alive and the dead. One of the main ways the living are linked to those who have died is through our memories. There is a saying, I'm thinking it might have come from the Jewish tradition, but I'm not sure, that each person actually dies twice. The first time is their physical death, and the second time is when the last person on earth who remembers them dies. In the words of a popular responsive reading from our hymnal by Roland Gittleson, so long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. There is a holiness in remembering. In times of loss, when we face the loss of a loved one, one of the first things we do is to remember. We gather together, as many people as is possible, and tell stories and share memories. We create together a community of memory. And there is a deep and abiding comfort and holiness in these rituals of remembering. Memory creates that invisible string. A second way that those who are alive and those who have died are linked is through the legacies that are left behind. When I thought of legacy, I thought of the first minister of our church, Reverend Charlie Jones. Now, there are very, very few people who remember Charlie Jones who are still alive, and even fewer who are still a part of our community. And there will come a time, at some point, when there is no one left alive who remembers Charlie Jones. But even though no one alive remembers him, he will still not be forgotten. He will be remembered not by memory, but by legacy. That legacy takes many forms. This church, this congregation with which he will be forever associated, his name on a building, his portrait above the old fireplace in the Jones building. But his legacy is even deeper than that. His legacy is also what he stood for. His legacy of justice work here in this town, his legacy of theological inclusion, his legacy of principled service. It is common to think, what is the legacy we will leave behind when we are gone? Some of those decisions we make are decisions that are financial or donations. But others of those decisions are moral legacies. In our responsive reading this morning by Kathleen McTeague, she writes, "Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into dust and have not disappeared." These words refer to a legacy that we leave behind in our lives. And so it is that memory is one of the connections on that invisible string, and legacy is one of the connections on that invisible string. And there is even a third way. Even a third way in which we are still connected, and that is by spirit, by mystery and love. One of the pictures that I put on the table this morning was a picture of my own father, who passed away last December. His memory, gathered together with family to share memories of him, learned about the legacy that he left, but those of you who heard me preach last spring heard me tell the story of the ways in which a presence continues despite a physical absence. That there is this spirit of mystery and of presence. It does, in fact, link the living and the dead. That invisible string of presence. Gather in memory, gather in legacy, gather in mystery. Amen. And blessed be. We will hear from our choir, and then we'll gather for a time of meditation and prayer. How this will work is that I'm going to say a meditation, and then after the meditation, I will introduce a time of calling forth of names. This time I invite you, we'll hold a time for anyone who wishes to, anyone who is remembering someone that they have lost. You're invited to speak that name into this sacred space. There are no rules about who is an appropriate person to speak. You're invited to speak the name of a family member who has died recently, or one who has perhaps passed away less recently. You can call forth the name of a neighbor or a teacher or a friend. You can call forth the name of a pet. You can call forth the name of someone from the larger world, even somebody who you may not have met, whose life touched you in some way. It's okay if names come at the same time. That's part of the wonder and the mystery. Our lives are all interlinked in mysterious ways. Before we hold this time, though, I invite you to join with me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and of love, love which holds us even in the midst of pain, even in the midst of loss. We ask for the blessings of memory and the blessings of presence to come to all of us who grieve and all of us who mourn. Blessings of comfort and memory to those who have lost a loved one, a partner, a parent, a grandparent, a child, an uncle or aunt, niece or nephew or cousin, a friend, a colleague, or a hero. May blessings come to each of us who has done the work of being a friend and a companion to others during their time of loss, who have offered words or embraces when words will not suffice, or casseroles. May blessings come to all those who grieve. We remember those in our own church community who have died within the past year. We remember Connie Gates. We remember Violet Simon. We remember Margie McKinney. Into this community of memory and hope, let us name those who have lended strength and love in our lives. I invite you to call forth the names you are remembering.
Virginia Garcia.
Bob Weston.
Cynthia.
May we know the blessings of memory and the blessings of love. Amen. And I invite you to join in our closing hymn this morning, number 336, All My Memories of Love, in the great hymnal. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we sing together.
Before we extinguish the chalice, if we could thank our musicians for the wonderful music. The words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. In keeping with our COVID protocols, if you don't wish to hold hands during Shalom, go like that. And if you do, put your hands out. And just a quick reminder to any donations can go in the baskets as you're leaving the church.